Superman Man of Tomorrow Against the Odds sees Clark, Lois and Jimmy attend the protest outside the city council against the new law that would allow casinos to be opened in Metropolis. Soon they move inside the city council for the hearing, ran by council president Andrew Davidson. The people yell about how the casinos will take local businesses away from them as Clark asks Davidson a question, wondering what the councilman thinks about making casinos legal and how it will bring the increase of organized crime to Metropolis. Davidson reassures Clark that those assumptions are inaccurate and it's time for the city of tomorrow to step out of the past. The people continue to yell as Clark goes to meet with Lois, hoping that she got what she wanted. Lois says that it will have to do since Davidson never talks to her anymore since she ran that article revealing his misuse of council funds. Lois says that Clark looks like a real softball, hence why she asked him to go and get the answer. Clark thinks that she doesn't find him intimidating and Lois reminds him that he says please and thank you too much to be intimidating. Soon Clark's superhero picks up on a jewelry robbery happening nearby. Clark tells Lois that he has to go and rushes off, so Lois tasks Jimmy with getting another question from Davidson, something Jimmy is surprised at since he's just a photographer, but Lois tells him it's time to get out of his shell since there's more to this casino issue than meets the eye. Clark rushes outside and changes, taking off into the sky while keeping an ear on the police bands. At the jewelry store, the two men continue loading in the goods to their bags, one saying that they need more than this to cover what they owe the gambler. Superman arrives, saying that they actually owe the state 15 years for armed robbery. The men begin to panic, telling Superman to let them go and no one gets hurt, but using his X-ray vision, Superman notes that they won't be hurting anyone since their guns aren't loaded. One of the men attacks Superman with his shotgun, breaking it over the hero's chest while the other escapes, but soon is also captured by the hero, who returns the jewelry to the store owners and takes the criminals off to jail. As he flies off, the gambler and his men watch on, knowing Superman is right on time, just like how Sharp called it, since Superman is the safest bet there is. Later at the Daily Planet, Clark tries to tell Perry that there is something more to these jewelry robberies than meets the eye, since neither of the men have criminal records, and didn't even seem to know each other or what they were doing. Perry puts that off as their first time on the job, but Clark says that the police say that there has been a pattern of first-time criminals lately, all with money problems, but again, Perry says that everyone has money problems. Clark tells him that it's uncommon for law-abiding citizens to just suddenly turn to a life of crime, but Perry isn't listening, intending on getting his snack from the vending machine. Clark gives the vending machine a slight nudge and it spits everything out, making Perry very happy. Clark wants Perry's permission to dig into this story, but Perry wonders, of all of the insane villains trying to take over the world from Metropolis, why does Clark want to focus on this story? Perry denies him the story, telling him to go help Lois with the casino story, since that's big news. Clark returns to his desk, knowing that there has to be more to this, and Lois trusts him that there is, but knows that Perry is just doing his job. Lois notes that Clark is wearing a different suit than he had on that morning, and he reveals that he stashed his other one behind the courthouse, and when he returned for it, a homeless man was wearing it, so he knew he couldn't take it off the man. He also gave the man his last $20, making Lois comment that if he keeps that up, they will have to start knocking over jewelry stores soon. Elsewhere, the gambler's operation is in full swing when he's brought a woman, who he tells that if she wants to get out from under him, she has to light the match on the condemned building they talked about, and she needs to move fast before Superman finds out and tanks the operation. As his men take her away, more of his men show up with the money the jewelry heist netted them. Gambler says the heist didn't work out, so he made sure that no one won, and now everyone is betting double to try and cover their losses on it, but his new game will make sure they don't recoup their losses. Laying out a blueprint, he tells his men his new casino will cover the gambling itch everyone has, since it will make it all legal now. In Midtown, a Luther Properties building is on fire with people still trapped inside. Superman races into the building, reassuring the people he is coming for them as the building collapses. As it collapses, Superman bursts through the fire with a woman in his arms, taking her to get medical attention. As he tends to her and the other people, he sees a woman crying on the street and goes to comfort her, telling her that there was no harm done. The woman says that someone told her no one was going to be in the building and she had to pay them back. Sitting with the woman, Superman asks who they are, but the woman says she can't tell him since she has kids and it's why she had to try and do something. Superman says that she doesn't need to talk to him, but if she wants to talk to someone, he knows someone who can keep a secret. secret. Later at the town diner, Clark meets with the woman, telling her that Superman told him she needs help. Later back at their apartment, Clark is hitting the soda as Lois arrives home, knowing that when he does that, something's happened. Clark says that he was right about the string of crimes and there is a story, and it's him. He tells Lois that there was a man named the Gambler who is running a betting ring on where Superman will be next. Gambler's customers get in over their heads and he makes them commit crimes at a time and place of his choosing so the house wins. Lois wonders why anyone would bet on where lives will be in danger next, and Clark says that people do things when they're desperate, and all he knows is that he's trying to do good, but it's leading to just a different kind of bad. Lois tells her husband that he's the strongest thing on the planet and he uses that to help people, so that could never be bad. But Superman or not, he's just one man and he can't change the world. Clark tells her that he needs to believe he can, since if he changes 2 people and they go on to change 2 more and so on and so forth, soon the world will be better and he knows it can happen. Lois kisses her husband, saying that that's why she loves him. Heading to the kitchen, Lois plans on making them breakfast for dinner, finding Clark stopped by Smallville for some fresh eggs. Soon Lois tells him that she might have something that might help him with his story. A story Clark reminds her that Perry told him to stop. Lois says that she had a hunch and she found out that one of the robbers confessed, saying that he was blindfolded by 2 meathead types and was overheard one of them mentioning the old port warehouse. In an instant, Clark takes off out the window as at the old port, Gambler plans on beginning his final game, telling his men to set up a stolen vehicle chase and to make it a big and dangerous one, since once they win and keep all of the winnings, the new casino will be in their reach. Superman arrives, throwing a forklift through the building and telling Gambler not to bet on his casino dreams. The villain tells his men to earn their money, getting them to open fire on the Man of Steel, who easily takes the thugs down, telling his men that they are overpaid. The men realize their money isn't worth it and flee as Superman destroys the villain's computer systems, kicking in his office door and finishing off the 2 burly goons with a flick of a finger. Retrieving Gambler from under the table, Superman tells him that the house loses and all the money is going back to the people he cheated and he is going to prison. Gambler says that Superman beat the odds, but there is more surprises here, since he's the victim thanks to this whole betting ring being set up by someone higher up than him, and demanded payment in exchange for him getting a casino. He knows that once the DEA hears all of this, he will be getting a deal, but Superman wants to know who this mysterious boss is. Gambler says that he is in the one place the worst crooks of all hang out, City Hall. The next day, Andrew Davidson is arrested for taking $5 million in exchange for the promise of providing his sponsorship to the casino legislation. Lois tells him that he can read all about the bill being shot down in her new story, telling Jimmy to get a humiliating picture of the councilman in tears. Lois asks Clark if he wants to grab a bite to eat, but Clark says he needs to rain check, since he's got to write a story about a bunch of citizens who mysteriously got all the money they had just lost back. Lois asks if he has an inside tip on that one as well, but Clark refuses to reveal his sources. Superman Man of Tomorrow again was a really fun one and done Superman story, different from the loud and action packed Parasite story and more focused on Clark Kent's journalistic powers. I really enjoyed Robert Venditti's writing here and portrayal of Clark as a competent and capable investigative journalist who just wants to help people, even bringing back a really cool old villain in the form of the Gambler, and even continuing the little jokes he had set up in the previous issue about Clark's business suits. I also enjoy how Metropolis is as much a character as anyone else here, and Venditti is setting up his own little universe with it, introducing frequently visited establishments like the town diner. I'm looking forward to the Toyman-centric story next issue and what will test Superman that time. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.